Welcome to my channel Zealous Listen. This is Arjun Todiola, and I've already told you that today we are going to discuss about Zarathustra. So let's start. Long ago, in the country of Iran, lived a man called Zarathustra. He became a great prophet. Now you will ask me, what is a prophet? A prophet is a man who knows something about God and His ways. He tells us how by loving God we begin to love everything He created, and that makes us happy. Iran is a beautiful country with many mountains and rivers. When Zarathustra was born in Iran, the people did not know anything about money. In those days, when a person wanted something, he would give a cow or a sheep or some other animal or vegetable and take what he wanted. There were no cars, no buses, no cycles. People walked or rode on the back of animals. The people of Iran lived a quiet life and were very happy. When the ground became very hard and they could not grow even grass, they would leave that place. They would take all their animals and go to another place. These people moved about like this from place to place and were called nomads. Now, in the mountain of Iran lived some very strong people. They would suddenly come down the mountainside, killing farmers, take away their animals and all food they had grown. These bad people also took away women and girls and made them work for them as slaves. These people were lazy and did not want to work, so they would take away everything from poor farmers. The good farmers thought of God. They called God Zarathustra. They said, God is called Aura because He is the beginning and father of all living things. He has man, animals, birds, plants and all that living underwater. He will always help us. God is called Mazda because He has created the universe, the sun, star, this earth of ours and everything we see around us have been created by Him. So they cried out to Zarathustra to help them from the people who are hurting them and making them unhappy. Zarathustra felt very sorry for his people. He asked all his Farvashis to come to him. A Farvashi is a spark of God which is within everyone. This spark comes from the boundless light which has no beginning nor end and which is God. No one can hurt a Farvashi. When anyone dies, that person's Farvashi goes back to Zarathustra and stays with the boundless light. The Farvashi thought, who will go and stop this man from hurting others? Who will reach them to love one another and be happy again? Then from the great light of God came the Farvashi of Zarathustra, which said, I will go if God will help me. Without God's help, I can do nothing. As soon as the Farvashi of Zarathustra said this, its light began to shine very brightly. It became brighter and brighter. Now the Farvashi of Zarathustra could only see the great light of God around it. Then the Farvashi of Zarathustra knew that God would always be near him. This Farvashi came into the world and entered the body of a child called Zarathustra. When Zarathustra grew up, he became the great prophet. I shall now take you far away to a place called Chorasnia and tell you something about a girl called Dogdo. Zarathustra lent his cover, that is divine glory or halo, on the physical frame of Zarathustra. This halo emerged from Zarathustra and went first to Eris, the child of zodiac, then to endless light, then to sun, to the moon, and finally to the stars. Having become more brilliant at portals of these realms of celestial light or luminous Yazda, Dadka halo settled upon the Dadka, the hearth fire, in the Dogdoa's mother's house. The Dadka bestowed it upon Dogdoa. She was born with this halo as a part of her. A portion of this light of divine halo went simultaneously under the earth and reached up to the sky and burned like a spiritual fire. That is through a self-combustion without any fuel. The good people in her village marveled and praised it as a glorious light and said that it would be the source of all future goodness on earth. They felt that divine light would establish the law of righteousness, through which a holy faith will be established in the surface of this earth. While the good people were overwhelmed with it, others were filled with hatred for this light. They perpetrated the evil principle of Dusmatra, Dujukta and Dujvarasa. They could not think right. They thought that such an occurrence would spell disaster for them. They did not speak well. They called it light evil and inauspicious. They tried to destroy the beautiful maiden Dogdava but failed. So they invoked evil forces and caused 3 mishappening violence. The first was dire winter, the second was plague, and the third was the attack from the tyrannical enemies. They attributed all this to the maiden with the halo, made people believe that this halo was a product with witchcraft practiced against the welfare of the land. Through her, people who were swayed by these lies quarreled with Dogdava's parents about her and said that she was a witch lie. To pacify these people who were so intensely prejudiced towards Dogdava, Farhima Rao told them that the earth, the entire halo that glowed from her, was brilliant as the light of an active fire. He explained that her superior glow would light up their whole house on a night, in absence of a well-maintained fire. On the other hand, if she stood next to a large fire in the house, her halo would lend such bright light that of the fire that one beholding it would admit of never having seen any fire burn like that. All this served as even more proof of Dogdava and her halo being holy, which made the evildoers hell-bent on getting rid of her. They pressurized Farim Rao to end her life. He was then left with no resource but to urge Dogdava to go to another place, a town situated on the river Arak, and be under the custody of great noble Paitaraspu. While Dogdava was about to carry out her father's instruction, the holy Yazids also prevailed upon her. They seemed to say that she should proceed to the village of Spitmas, a place with abundant flora and fauna, and where cattle move about freely, and that such a hospitable place was created for her protection by all merciful Ormuzda. Dogdava was convinced that her father's counsel and the protective will of Yazids were the same. Thanking God Lord Ormuzda and saying a prayer after physically cleansing herself, she left for the new village. Divine grace in its eternity seemed to go with her. Not only did Dogdava earn asylum from great noble Paitaraspa, but in his son Pauraspa, she also found a worthy husband. One day, Pauraspa and Dogdava's Vidman had a son. All of nature was happy at his birth. Baby Zarathustra was different from other babies. All babies cry at the time of their birth, but Zarathustra laughed. Zarathustra means the golden light. The Greeks call him Zoroaster. Now, during that time, there lived an evil man whose name was Durasuru. He was the leader of gang that lived by plunder and arson throughout the Iran. He heard about Zarathustra, how he was sent by Ormuzda to get rid of evil. He plotted to kill him. First, they put baby Zarathustra into a burning fire, but the angel Ashavaista caused the emperor to get cold. Next, they placed him in a lane frequented by cattle, with the intent that he would get trampled to death. However, Angel Burman inspired a cow to stand over him and protect him from the stampede. A similar attempt was made by placing him in a passage frequented by horses. Angel Drasvaspa helped him. Durasarun continued his effort to get rid of baby Zarathustra. He took him to a wolf cave to be eaten by wolves. Angels Mayor and Sarusha came to baby's rescue in form of goats, who suckled the baby until he was rescued by his pets. Finally frustrated, the wicked Durasarun decided to murder the child himself. He entered the child's house while all were asleep and was poisoned to strike with his deadly dagger when Angel Behram permanently paralyzed and twisted his hand on that so that he could never use them again. Baby Zarathustra grew up to be a lovely big boy. He was very clever and spoke about God to lots of people. His mother and father asked a clever teacher to teach him, but in short time, Zarathustra knew more than his teacher, so the teacher was sent away. Zarathustra was a happy baby. He loved everything and was kind to all. He always tried to make other people happy like himself. Zarathustra was happy because he never felt alone. This Farvashi often showed Zarathustra what to do. All the boys loved Zarathustra. They asked him, "How are you always smiling and happy?" Zarathustra would always say, "You can also smile and be happy if you try to see the spark of God inside. Try to know what God wants you to do. If you keep quiet, you will soon know what God wants you to do." We can think of good or bad things. Try to think of all that is good. This will make you good and happy. Do not think of what is bad. This will make you bad and very sad. Try not to keep everything for yourself. Give what you have to others and be kind to everyone. Then if someone hurts you, you will not feel angry because God will always make you feel happy. One day Zarathustra was walking down the road. He saw a very thin dog. The poor dog was lying in the middle of the road. This poor little dog was dying. It had nothing to eat for a long time. Zarathustra felt very sorry for the poor dog. He ran home, brought some water and a piece of bread. The dog ate up the bread and drank the water. It felt better and its tail began to wag. It licked Zarathustra's hand as if to say thank you. It was happy now and stood up. Zarathustra lifted it in his arm and took it home. He asked his mother and father if he could keep it. His father and mother accepted it and told him to feed it and take it out for walks. Zarathustra promised to do everything for the dog and so he kept it. Then there was a time when there was famine in Iran. The ground became dry and hard. All that was grown in the ground died. People felt very hungry as they had nothing to eat. Many people died. Some began to beg for food at the roadside. Zarathustra felt very sorry for all these people. He said, "Don't cry, don't be unhappy. I'll give you all the food I have." He went home and said to his mother and father, "Please let me give all the food we have to these poor people. They are so hungry." They said, "Yes, Zarathustra, give everything to these hungry people. We will also pray that Lord Aurangzeb will help them and make them happy again." So Zarathustra and his mother and father gave away all the food they had in the house. They became as poor as those people whom they helped. Zarathustra and his parents were happy because so many people were made happy again. Now we shall see what happened to Zarathustra when he became a man. Zarathustra wanted to help other people to find the light of God in themselves. So one day he said, "Dear mother and father, I must leave you now and speak to the people of the world and tell them about God. How there's light in each one of us. I thank you for all you have done for me." For Raspa and Dakto wanted to give Zarathustra many things to take with him, but Zarathustra said, "Father, I want only one thing from you. Please give me your kasti. I shall wear it around my waist and give thanks to God. Whether I shall always love and remember you." Zarathustra left his home and went far away. We don't know where he went. For many years, not one of his friends or relatives saw him. After nearly 10 years, he came back to the people. He went to the houses of poor and spoke to them about God. He told them not to be afraid or unhappy, but to try and understand God by seeing His light in all. Zarathustra taught them to keep their bodies clean and wear clean clothes. He also told them to think good and kind thoughts about everyone, and to speak good and kind words to everyone, to do good to all, and so to help others to be happy. Many years passed. Zarathustra became the great prophet of Iran. He had gone to many places telling everyone about God and how to love Him. One day, he came to Bactria. Bactria is a place in east of Iran. The king of Bactria was called King Vistaspa. This king was very clever and a good man. Zarathustra wanted to see the king. He left mountains and went forth to preach his religion. Medyuma, his cousin, was his first disciple. Zarathustra went to the court of King Vistaspa of Bactria, that is Afghanistan. He talked to them about God and how everyone can be happy in the world if one knows that God's light is oneself. The king was interested in his teaching, but the courtiers were evil and framed Zarathustra. He was thrown into prison. While in prison, he heard that the king's favorite horse, Aspashiha, was paralyzed and very ill. In despair, the king turned to Zarathustra for help. Zarathustra agreed to help, but only on the following 4 conditions. The king should follow his teaching. The queen would follow the religion. The prince would protect the faith. And the king should punish those who framed him. As each condition was fulfilled, each leg of horse was freed from paralysis. The essence of the religion was Humakta, Hukta, and Huvarasta, which means good thoughts, good words, and good deeds. The king and queen listened to him, and the queen thought much about God. She felt so happy because she knew that she would never be alone. She began to pray to God and love him. She spoke to the king about all this. Many men tried not to let the king think of God. The queen, however, was so kind and good that the king believed her. He also listened to Zarathustra and felt much better and happier too. They began to be kind to everyone and to love each other. Zarathustra lived a long and a good life. Then, when Zarathustra had finished the work God had sent him to do, one day at the age 77, when he was praying, an evil man crept up behind him and stabbed him in the back. Zarathustra threw his prayer beads at him and forgave him. But the assassin dropped dead as soon as Zarathustra died. Sarasha, with his galaxy of angels, took Zarathustra to heaven. This is the story of Zarathustra. This was long but worth listening. I hope you liked my video. And if you liked it, then please do share it with everyone. Not only Parsis should see this, I want all over the world to see this video. I want everyone to know about our religion or our priest who has worked so hard to make people understand who is God. I would like you all to please like, share and subscribe to my channel. Thank you for watching my video. Thank you.